Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to learn a little bit more about March Distillings F.L.F. This is our first legal fill of a rye whiskey. Well, actually in Switzerland and most of Europe you can't call it whiskey. This is a grain-based spirit, 100% grain, no added sugar. But as you can clearly tell, there is no aging, no pieces, or no influence from any wood of any kind. So we're going to call this our Rye Moonshine. New make, whatever you want to call it. It's a unaged grain-based spirit. At March Distilling, this being our first ever official release, we decided to go with the guidance of the first President of the United States of America, George Washington. Many don't know this about him, but George Washington actually was or owned a farm before the Civil War, and after, when he stepped down from his presidency, he had a farm, and on this farm he made some whiskey, and the whiskey was quite similar to the whiskey that we have here. We know, or we have an estimate of what grains he used, and the first legal fill is inspired by his recipe. This is a 60% rye whiskey, 30% corn, and 10% malted barley. Now, all of these grains are grind up and made very, very fine, with the exception of the corn. So we grind up the barley and the rye, of course, to a fine powder. Then we take this, we add it to our large cooker, and we cook out all of the starches and convert all of those into sugar, which then gets put into these fermenters, and then the yeast is added. Quite frankly saying, this doesn't sound very complicated or nuanced, but we at March Distilling look for a very full-bodied and rich experience with our whiskeys, even the new makes, which have, of course, no additives, no wood flavoring of any kind, no wood influence. We want to make sure that it is a robust and a full palate experience. That is why the entire whiskey is made on grain. It is, of course, mashed on grain. It's never lautered. We ferment on grain as well, and we even distill on grain to make sure that all of that full whiskey and grain flavor comes through, even hopefully throughout maturation. Currently in Switzerland, we do not have the rights to distill ourselves, so this F.L.F, our first legal fill, is actually distilled with a Lohnbrenner, a commercial distiller. And with him, we're able to fine-tune and get the distillation exactly how we want it to be. However, of course, they're different stills than what we will be using ourselves, hopefully, by the end of 2023. That being said, we do not buy and get any beer shipped or sent to us. We pick and we go through all the grain ourselves. We've specifically been in charge and take charge of the grain we pick, the yeast that we use, the water, every step of the mashing process to make sure we are creating a unique and enjoyable spirit to a particular profile. We hope that you get a chance to try March Distillings F.L.F. and batch number 1. This is actually one of our first runs that we've decided to bottle and put together for you to try. Please, if you want to get your hands on a bottle or try it, contact our friends at themaltimore.com. And if you have any questions for us, or you want to see how this whiskey was actually produced, what steps went into it, and maybe even help us out and be a part of a batch, please stop by and reach out to us at marchdistilling.com or on social media, or even on YouTube at The Whiskey March. Thank you all very much for watching this little clip. I hope you have a nice day. Cheers to you and your next bottle of whiskey.